Hey there, comic book fans. I am back from the comic shop again this week, and for the second week in a row, I got 8 new comics. I'm really thankful for these dollar comics because they make 8 comics a lot cheaper than full price comics. Comic Shop Weekly, Kiss Zombies. Pretty cool drawing. The Rocking Dead. Guess everyone gets turned into a zombie sooner or later. Tales from the Dark Multiverse. Infinite Crisis. Lots of big drawings. Big art this week in the DC Poster Book, does that say? That's pretty neat. DC Poster Portfolio by Josh Middleton. I like any books full of covers, comic book covers. I prefer them to have their logos on, but they don't have to. And then let's see. The first of the DC dollar books I got. Batman Hush. I bought this whole series back when it came out. I sold them a few years ago, but I figured for $1, I'll check out DC's new line of dollar books. This came out a long time ago now. What, early 2000s? Like 15 years old. Wow, time has flown. Jim Lee, who wrote it? Jeff Loeb, Scott Williamson. All right. Then we've got True Believers, Incredible Hulk, Grey Hulk Returns. What issue number was this? 324 was the original issue number and cover. Does it have a year on this? 1986. Yeah, I never read this one. I had stopped reading the Hulk by then. Is this Peter David stuff? No, Al Milgrom. Al Milgram's story and layouts, Dennis Janke finishes. I didn't realize Al Milgrom wrote any Hulks, but there you go. There's a Hulk that Al Milgrom wrote, and we'll give that one a read. Then we've got another one, True Believers, Mindless Hulk. Doctor Strange, and this one was originally, let's see, Hulk 299, 1984. So this is even earlier than that one? This is 84, right? Yeah, it says 84. Let's see, who was doing this one? Bill Mantlo, Sal Buscema, and Gary Talek. I don't think I can't. I may have bought all up to Hulk 300, but I think I got rid of them ages ago. Or I may have stopped before 300. Hulk was my favorite when I was a kid, and I may have had from 200 to 300. I don't even know what I have now. From 200 to, I don't know what, 250 maybe still left. But we'll give that one a read too. And here we go with Keith Haring's Gargor. I've been liking this series. There's our dude Gargor there. Mystical world. Monsters on this world. Gargor's the good monster fighting the other one. There's all these there's our planets. Islands. Islands are like dotted all around the sky. I guess they're like planets. You have to fly from one to them, but a little easier to get to than planets. And that's where our guys are having their adventure on. So good stuff. Been enjoying that one. And look what's back. Trees. 3 Fates #1. This is the continuation of, and I think it's 5 issues maybe, in the wrap-up of the Trees miniseries by Warren Ellis and Jason Howard. And it was strange. This was kind of like, they call them, they're these giant columns that popped up all over the globe, and no one knew what they were, where they came from. Were they from outer space? Were they from the Earth? And it affected all of what would happen if these giant trees popped up all over Earth one day. They call them trees, but they're really telephone poles, more like it, except they're 100 yards across. And they're somehow technological. And it changed all of society because of this, weird trees came by. And I'll have to reread that first series. It was pretty good, but it wasn't about giving you answers. It was about things happening after the trees came by. So I have no explanation for what those trees are. I don't know. We'll have to see. And here comes Reaver #3. With the 2 Vault books I'm buying and Reaver, that makes 3 fantasy books I'm buying right now. I don't know if Reaver's on. The Vault books are 5-issue minis. I don't know how long this is, if it's open-ended or not, but this one is D&D Suicide Squad. All these guys are in some fantasy world where there's a war going on and they're all condemned to death, and they could go on this one suicide mission, and if they survive it, it will, all charges against them will be dropped and they can go about their lives. And it's, your usual sort of D&D, well, it's not really usual because they have different, but it's like, the barbarian, the wizard, the cleric, it's variations. They're not exactly that, but there's variations of that in their party. There's a map. Who doesn't like a map with the... Is a fantasy comic really a fantasy comic without a map? I don't think so. So there you go with that one. And what's next? The Beauty, issue number 29. Last issue was a done-in-one heartbreaking tale. Because The Beauty is a STD, a disease that you catch, and it makes you beautiful. But they didn't find out till 4 or 5 years later. You burn up and get set on fire. You basically self-combust in 4 or 5 years. But no one knew that when people were catching it on purpose because it made you fit and beautiful, made you stronger, faster, better reflexes, beautiful. And some people chose to get it on purpose, and some didn't. And we've had stories of cops, robbers, done-in-one. Last issue was a done-in-one, and it was about kind of a down-and-out actor who... Hold on. I think I've got people here. I'm back. Last issue was a heartbreaking tale of a done-in-one, of a guy who was an aspiring actor and had a real tough life, aspiring but couldn't get anywhere. And you just knew what was going to happen at the end. You just knew. After all this, he finally gets a little break, and at the end of the issue, he bursts into flame. And you knew it was coming. You knew that's how it happened. It wasn't a twist ending. It was an ending you expected the whole time. But I was still really, really sad. I felt for this guy after one issue. And the last comic we have this week is #Danger, Death in the Snare of Venom. Tom Payer, Chris Geruso. I saw on Twitter today that this is supposed to be the last issue. I was a little disappointed with that, but I wasn't sure how long it was going to last. I'm not positive it's the last issue. Let's see if there's a next issue blurb in this one. Just because I don't want to ruin the ending for me, but that's the other. There's a backup story in these as well as a lead story. We have an end in it, but next, ha ha ha. There is no next issue. Just effing with you, he said. There is no... So this is the last issue of #Danger. I've enjoyed the series. Chris Geruso is a friend of mine. I always enjoy his artwork. I think Tom Payer has written a nice story here, too. There's been a backup story that's been... different backup stories that's been fun. So, I never got the first issue, though. The first issue, my shop never got it in, and he couldn't reorder it for me. So I've got #Danger 2 through 5 now, but someday I'll track down issue number 1. But not right now. Let me show you a little artwork, and this one is actually comic related because I did a cover, not quite recreation. This was one of my favorite covers from when I was a kid. Jim Starlin's Ironman 100. I kind of Jaredified it, putting my own little shit. His cover is actually very anatomically correct. Lots of musculature in there and little hatching going on. I went with my painted lady marks and a lot. And I also changed one of the feet just because I liked both his feet flattened. But I had a lot of fun. I actually I started doing this the other day just because I had already penciled it months and months ago and tried inking it and failed miserably. And then I just the other day, I just wanted to do some inking and not think too much about it. Because sometimes when I ink, the craft part of my brain is activated. And I'm just doing the craft of inking rather than thinking about things. Sometimes when you're doing the art of the drawing, you're really thinking about things. Sometimes when you're doing the craft of the inking, you're really reacting and doing things. So Ironman 100, I did all the logos and such another time and printed them right on the board. Always loved this cover, wanted to do my own version of it, so I finally did. It may have taken me 6 months to actually finish it, but I finished it and liked the way it came out. All right. So you guys all have a good week out there.